Welcome to the Wise Build Bridges. And today we've got an guest episode with Kevin, Kapezi and Leo Worsley from Growthack Digital. Welcome, guys, and thank you so much for coming on. So just to kind of give a little intro as to our guest, Duray is also here, by the way, from VG.
Hello, everyone.
But yeah, just to give our guest a little intro. So Kevin, as well as being an SEO and content marketing specialist, he's an experienced digital marketing strategist, having clocked up years working for a vast range of brands, from international credit giant Experian to specialized startups. Kevin's all-round experience allows him to take a comprehensive view of your online presence to spot gaps, seize opportunities, and drive performance. He's also an accomplished speaker, which we can advocate for. We've seen him speak, and mentor as well, delivering talks at industry events. And then Leo is who you want to talk to when talking about paid media or PPC. He's your go-to guy. Before co-founding Growthack alongside Kevin, Leo spent years as an award-winning PPC strategist. He uses platforms like Google, Facebook, YouTube to amplify sales, acquisition, and exposure. So in other words, he gets your brand seen and your products sold. Outside of Growthack, he's an expert in his field in writing articles, giving talks, and delivering lectures on marketing and advertising. And just to also then give a little intro about Growthack Digital. So rather than grab a slice of every pie going at Growthack, they focus on what they do best. So Kevin in SEO and Leo with paid media. If there's something else that you might need to meet your goals, they can hook you up with the best handpicked designers, writers, developers, and strategists. As a result, you get a first-rate technical expertise and laser-focused advice from people who really know what they're talking about. That's the formalities done. But honestly, I'm really excited to be talking with you guys. We've bumped into each other like numerous times at events, and we've been wanting to do this for a little while. The last time we saw each other was in Barcelona, in my city. How was that experience for you? Kevin, you were talking then. Were you also talking, Leo?
No, I wasn't. I was talking in the crowd, you know.
Yeah. You were there like cheering him on, like whoop whoop.
Yeah, that was an amazing experience. Very terrifying because, you know, speaking is not my profession, so it's always difficult to get into a big crowd of people. But yeah, it was nice seeing you guys, and can I just say that was a really great intro. I think one of the best intros we've had doing one of these things. So yeah, thanks for that. A lot of nice words. But yeah, Barcelona was fantastic. I was talking about international SEO and how brands could, you know, essentially salvage the equity whenever they're doing the migration. That was the topic that I was talking about, and it was just really good experience. I think it was really well organized event.
Yeah,
and yeah, just nice to speak to other people in the industry and see how they're doing and how they do things.
Great, amazing, and it's quite interesting. Yeah, Duray, did you want to add something to that?
Well, I just wanted to know, like, from your guys' perspective, how important are events going to be? I know this might be like later on, so apologies if I'm just sticking this in now. But like, how important are like events going to be for you guys in the next in 2023? Because we love it, right? We love getting together, seeing your beautiful faces, getting together, seeing other people talking about SEO. But there's also a part of me that's like, okay, it's like a fair amount of budget that's going towards tickets, entertainment, travel. There's also 2 less days that we can actually deliver work for clients. And quite often on the months where we have those kind of events, we might be like really pushing our team to get work done towards the last few days of the month. We haven't given ourselves that breathing room. So for us, it's like we're a little bit undecided on the value. But what's your thinking for 2023 in events? Are you guys going to be everywhere and anywhere, or what's your thinking?
I think, oh man, I think speaking doesn't come naturally for both me and Kevin. Although Kevin, you absolutely smashed it, and I think you should absolutely consider doing more of it. I mean, I'll we'll wait and see whether or not I get on the stage and stuff. But it's whether we do talks, whether we do podcasts, whether we just enter rooms and shake people's hands, and like you said, speak to people in the community. I think it of course is at the top of our priority when it comes to building our brand and getting our faces out there, because as you'll learn, and I'm sure we'll talk about it later on, we're just a two-man team. We haven't got a big team, so it's not, the expenses, the budget isn't extortionate, because it's just me and Kevin at the end of the day. And when we went to Barcelona, listen, we went on Airbnb and got like a 70 euro accommodation, dingy old thing with a bed, right? So, it's not like it's a high budget type of activity for us. And it, above all as well, I think between me and Kevin, and I'm sure you guys will feel the same, it's just an amazing team building exercise. It's just amazing to go out with the team and have fun with the team and engage with your peers in a different way than you usually would. I think that's the main thing for me.
Yeah, for us, it's an experience. It's more like a nice day out, I think, when we think about events. And probably, I think it's more likely that we'll go to an event abroad rather than going to London, because, traveling from, we're based in Nottingham, and going to an event in London, it's like sometimes double the amount for Barcelona, as an example. So I think any international events, I think we'll jump at that. But when it comes to going to London, we'll always think twice. If it's really important, then of course we'd go. But yeah, just case by case basis. There's not like a list of events that we're saying we're going to go to 100% this year. But if a good event comes about that we happen to be involved in, then yeah, we'll jump at that.
I'm just getting more and more tempted, like the Barcelona, the sun, and like the good SEO chat, that was amazing. Now I'm seeing things like Barbados SEO pop up on my timeline. One of my kind of agency friends said they might start like a Cape Town, how to like reduce your staffing costs quite considerably. It's a 3-day wine tasting / SEO chat in Cape Town, which, if someone's got to do that, guys, don't worry, I volunteer as tribute, okay? But yeah, like it's tempting, but we'll see how much actual work gets done.
Yeah, I wonder what the ratio of wine tasting and between wine tasting and SEO, what's that ratio going to be like?
The more wine, the better chat. I reckon that's what happens. Nice. So my usual thing in terms of like prepping for these episodes is that I like to do deep dives on LinkedIn. And so part of that, I kind of wanted to get to the root of how you two know each other in the first place. And my detective skills told me that it might have been when you were both working at Hallam. Is that correct? Because you both also went to the same uni, but I did see it different years. So I assumed that it happened more when you were working. Did you guys kind of like, were you guys working together from the off? Like, how did you like meet even within that environment?
Absolutely, you're right. Your detective on. We met at Hallam. For those that don't know, Hallam's a Midlands sort of medium to large agency, and that's where Kevin and I first sort of met, engaged with each other, and we began working with each other. That's right. And we I'd say we hit it off instantly, didn't we, Kevin? There was we worked together a few projects. We worked very well together, and actually I think what was quite interesting was obviously we brought a lot of enthusiasm to the plate when we were working with each other, and I think others genuinely I think they wanted that too. Do you know what I mean? We wanted that, but some people in the business didn't. We connected quite well, and that was quite a laugh for me and Kevin to go through.
Yeah, we really enjoyed working together. We first met, I think, talking about food, because we were both going to the gym at the time, and like you had your meal prep, and we're talking about macros and all that stuff, because you're quite scientific with the way you prepare your meals and your gym life and stuff. So yeah, I think that's what we first talked about. And I think at the time, everyone, when I joined that company, it seemed like everyone had their friend. As sad as it is to say, but I didn't have my friend. I didn't have my my guy.
Your work buddy.
Yeah, my work buddy. I didn't have that yet. And then Leo joined the company, and I was like, okay, cool. There's a new guy in the office. And then we just kind of just hit it off, luckily.
That's so great. That's really, I think For me, it's definitely been one of the most important things in terms of like staying in a job, because at the end of the day, a lot of the time you're kind of applying the same skills to relatively similar situations. So really what the difference that is made is more almost like the social aspect and actually enjoying your time in the place that you're working. And so yeah, so the people that you meet are, I think, a really integral part of that. And it is so nice to be able to have that crossover, because like sometimes you have people where you're like, this is my work friend, but it is a purely work situation. Like it is 9 to 5, we're communicating, but when I clock off, let's be honest, I'm not talking to you. But it's nice when that extends and that becomes a bit more rounded.
The reason why. Sorry,
go
Jerry.
on, after you. No, after you.
Sure. Okay. I think the main reason why that extended, Noemi, was that Kevin was trying to find a place to live, right, in the heart of in West Bridgeford, Nottingham area, and I so happened to be in a house share, and there was a room going, so naturally I invited him to come across, and we lived together for 6 months, and obviously that's where the friendship outside of work really sort of started, right? It wasn't just purely in the office. It did, there was that as well, which helped.
Yeah, you convinced me to move in with you, and then you left me after 6 months to move in with your girlfriend. So at the time, so you're heartbroken.
Sorry, Kevin.
That's not great. Yeah, nah. But like that's cool. Like I think it's interesting, right? Like as Naomi was saying there, like ultimately agencies, we sell expert time. And so your team is definitely your strongest asset. I can say that for our team, and for you guys, I know that to be true as well. You guys are absolutely brilliant at what you do. So like I think retention of your talent is like super important. And with in-house roles, traditionally being able to pay a lot more than agencies, because listen, I don't know about you guys, but we're not putting loads and loads of margin on it. We're having to kind of make sure that the place where people go to work is one that they feel cherished, one that they feel like valued. We've just incorporated a 4.5-day working week here. A couple of other things, because the culture is like, people need to wake up and go like, all right, let's get it, another week, let's smash it. Not like, oh, dreading it. Like I remember sometimes when I was in a different kind of environment, we won't name it shame, but a different kind of company where I was not enjoying coming to work at all. There wasn't any aspect of my job that I enjoyed. Hopefully we provide a bit of a better thing here for VG. What do you guys do except for those events, but what do you guys do as a 2-person team? It must be so important to like have that really strong relationship. What do you guys do on a regular basis to make sure that that's solidified?
Yeah, I mean, we have regular lunch together as a very basic thing. Whenever we are in the office, we do make an effort to go to and just have some lunch together and just catch up about life, just outside of work. Just really informal, just be friends, because we are friends as well as co-workers and business partners. So it's trying to find that balance of we're friends as well, and make that friendship time available. And then also we do things outside of work together, like go on holiday if we can, and there's big events happening this year as well in our personal lives. So we're going to be there for each other as friends. So I think that's important. It's really important to be there as friends first a lot of times, because a lot of the things that are going on in your personal life are going to affect your work life. So it's important to understand what's happening and how you can help in those situations.
I think we can definitely relate to that. I think especially within kind of like, for example, like the leadership team at VG, we're all originally friends from high school, and obviously we spend a lot of our time working now. Like I would say we probably spend, well, even especially for me, because I'm usually in Barcelona, when I am coming to London a lot of the time now, it's for work purposes. So I'm seeing my friends within this work context a lot of the time, and sometimes it can be quite hard to kind of like, when you're catching up, you're still catching up about work, and it's about like putting that to the side and saying, no, like as a person, like how are you? I'm not asking you how busy you are, I'm just asking you like, how are you?
Yeah, definitely. And actually what's been interesting for me and Kevin, since setting up Growthack in the past, we set up about 2.5 years ago, is that the amount of enthusiasm and energy and drive that we have for it just naturally means that like even the free time, the friend time turns into work, turns into, I've got this great idea, we should do that, we should do this. Because I guess, like why not? Why can't friendship be compounded by the fact that we're in a business together? There's no reason why it can't. But you're right. And especially what Kevin said, sometimes you've got to realize, man, we're not colleagues. We're also very close friends, because sometimes you do find yourself, sometimes I'll approach Kevin on the call at like 7 p.m. and start talking work without even realizing it. And he's just like, yeah, cool, let's go out for a drink and play some pool or something.
Yeah, it's a challenge. Honestly, it is a challenge. It's so easy to just talk about work 24/7. It's so easy not to switch off. And with what we do as well, marketing in general, you can't really switch off. There's always something that inspires you.
100%.
See an ad on TV, you see something, in the news, and okay, you want to chat about that, and then you link it back to work, and you see, social media, you see something that inspires you and say, why don't we do this? So it is very difficult to switch off in our line of work, but just having that dedicated time where, okay, we're going out for lunch, let's just chill out. I think it's so important.
Yeah, for sure. For me, like, I think ways sometimes that I try and draw boundaries is like using different platforms or channels. So for example, if you do see something like after hours that you're like, oh, this would be really good, you send it on Slack rather than like send me a WhatsApp. Or like LinkedIn, for example, I use strictly during business hours. Like, you will find me on LinkedIn from 9 till 5, but after that, like, I refuse to go on it. Like, and maybe then, maybe there are some missed opportunities from it. But I honestly, like, I think it is important to kind of draw those boundaries. And like, I think even us at the beginning, as like, we do still have like a WhatsApp group as a team as well. And we kind of told ourselves we need to, like, after like 7 p.m, let's try and like really limit messages to that group. Like, let's try and put it somewhere else, because then people are still kind of in work, or like you're kind of reminded about something, which, as important as it might be, I think it's good to have breaks, and because, we all need to unwind at some point, so that we can be better as well afterwards too. I mentioned earlier that you both went to Nottingham Trent, and honestly, I was fascinated by what you guys studied. I think mainly you, Leo, I can't lie. But to let people know out there, Kevin, you studied law with business, and Leo, you studied physics with nuclear technology. So how did you both get to marketing? I feel like Kevin, I maybe I see it with the business side, but Leo, like, I'm baffled.
Right. So, so I get this a lot, right? And and I guess I had a platform which helped to kind of steer me in the right direction. Put it this way: when I was in GCSE in school, I was like a flat sort of C student. I was just all right at things in general, just all right. But then my maths and my physics and my sciences were like A stars. It was really strange. Honestly, it was literally C's or D's, and then like A star for maths and physics.
Okay.
It's naturally, as a kid, you go into your A levels, doing what you do best, you apply your strengths, and then I went to university to study it because I was good at it, not because I knew I wanted to do PPC in the future, right? But interestingly, what you learn in science, and I think this is a huge missed opportunity for employers out there, right, is that people that study anything relevant to science or numericals, maths and the numbers side of things, they basically get taught this way, a state of mind, logic, data. You really do like profoundly understand what numbers mean.
Yeah.
And in my world, because I was actually thinking about going into like finance or accounting, like, because that's kind of a pathway for people who do science. They go into that area because it's all numbers and tax and
all that really juicy stuff.
Yeah, really exciting stuff. You're just naturally really good at that. It sets you up. Now, I had a platform in my uncle who owns a very small creative brand development agency. And he obviously knew me as a person. He said, listen, why don't you come, when I graduated, I didn't have a setup. I didn't have a job to go to, nothing. I was a lifeguard. I was just doing bits and bobs. And he said, why don't you come to, our place and I'll introduce you to Google Analytics. He sets the website. So I'll introduce you. And from there, my gosh, man, it really sort of lit a fire. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to understand what everything means here. I need to read all the reports. I read all the books. And then I just naturally gravitated towards paid because I'm also very commercially and financially aware and driven.
Right.
So for me, when it comes and that skill set with numbers and the commercial and financial awareness, I bring that to campaign management and ROI, basically management for businesses very effectively. Very black and white approach.
Yeah.
It works amazingly, right? But when it doesn't, cool.
Yeah, for sure. That I feel like, there was that missing piece of I guess your uncle there, definitely. But yeah, it does really add up and makes me feel, because I'm definitely more from the other side of things in terms of I'm on the creative side, slightly less analytical. I like to think my mind does work quite logically. Like in school, I did like maths is what I felt I was strong at until I did A-levels, and then I felt very weak. But I always like to try and like the kind of problem solving side of things. I like to think in those ways. But sometimes, when I am presented with like these reports, I'm a bit like, how do I make it pretty so that I can interpret it better? Because when I just see the numbers in front of me, I'm like, I need to draw a picture with it, But
let me tell you, that is so important because, like, truthfully, if I had to go into a meeting room and I had to portray information the way that I understand it best, I'd probably lose 90% of the people. Nobody would be engaged because it's not engaging, because it's literally just going to be a spreadsheet dump and it's going to be like, you know what I mean? So the creative element, I mean, that's my weakness. And, you do have to, I've tried to learn to present information and interpret data in a more, Einstein says it best, right? He says, if you can't explain something simply, you don't know it well enough. So, you know what I mean? Like in it, right? So, yeah.
Definitely. And what about you, Kevin? What was kind of your path into it?
Yeah, I've got a very different story to Leo. So in school, I was an all-rounder. I've always been an all-rounder my whole life, which is more of a curse than a blessing. Doing well in every single subject is not a good thing, I think, as a young person, because you don't really know what direction you're going to go into. And I've always been confused in terms of what I want to do. So I went to university, studied a very broad degree, law and business. There's no real job you get straight after that degree. It's literally just a foundation kind of degree, I think, in my mind anyway. And I quickly found out that I hated law. So, but I've always been interested in business. But I quickly found out I hated law. I just didn't like it. It didn't make me feel good. I didn't want to go to lectures or seminars. I missed a few. I was a really terrible law student. But in terms of business, I could easily, get my 2-1s, my first, and whatever, without putting much effort. I just naturally gravitated towards that. So and then after university, I happened to be working at Specsavers in customer service.
Right.
And they had a finance department. So I was trying to leverage my experience in customer service to get into that department, get into that room. And after applying numerous times, I finally got the job. And then quickly found out that I hated accounting. So, I went on this long journey of, discovering what I wanted to do. And
it's good to find out what you don't like. I think that's like part of it, isn't it? Like, if you don't like something, at least you can avoid it. Because I can definitely relate to the kind of being the all-rounder of being like, oh, well, I guess I could do this because I'm good enough at this, or I could do this, I'm good enough at that too. And so actually, when you know what you don't like, you could just store that away. Like, that's not even a thought, that it's not a consideration.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But for me, I took a really long time to figure out that I didn't like finance. I in the finance department, I moved around the finance department about 3 or 4 times, before I left the company. So I tried everything. I really tried to make it work. And then I started studying an online diploma on digital marketing. After speaking to a friend who was in development, and he was telling me this thing about SEO, and I was like, what is that? Oh, is that how that works? I didn't know that that's a thing. You can actually get a job in that. And then I started researching myself, and then naturally, you know, that's what I started gravitating towards.
Right.
And then just started to restart my career again and got a junior role. So I went from, you know, 5K more salary back down,
Yeah.
all over again, which was quite humbling. But you know, sometimes you have to do that. And you know, that at the time I was in my mid-20s, you know, and you're thinking you should be at a certain point in your life, and you kind of have to restart all over again.
Yeah. I feel like Jure, you can pretty much relate to that quite a bit, no?
Yeah, well, for sure. Like, I'm firstly, Noemi, we did a podcast recently, and Noemi was going through like our Facebooks and looking at like what our goals were for years gone by. And I think she said something like the last 4 times it's just been like, by this date, I will have a bulldog. That's what I want my life to look like, and I've yet to have my bulldog. So if anyone wants to sponsor the show, I can DM us for my address and send me a bulldog. Yeah, like, you know what I found was interesting, like experience and university there. Okay, maybe to some extent with the commercial element there, Leo, I get it, and how that can kind of like be advantageous to your role. I get that completely. And I guess university is great for that community and finding out who your friends are and stuff. But I feel like the UK education system forces you to narrow down and filter so early doors. Like in South Africa, you do 12 GCSEs the whole way through. There's no like, okay, we reduce the GCSEs, you could pick which ones you want to do, then you reduce your A levels, then you do 1 year of 4 A levels, then you pick your top 3. Like, it's a bit crazy here that they're asking like 16-year-olds to make career-defining decisions. Like, I remember I couldn't, what was it? Ah, yes. I wanted to study PPE. I applied to uni there at times, I ain't gonna lie to you guys. No, it was because I hadn't done biology. That's it. I wanted to become a physio at this point. I've gone through 24 careers in my 65 years of life now. But I wanted to study physiotherapy, and I had done biology up until pretty much A-level in South Africa. But they came here, when I moved here, they were like, well, you didn't finish, so you have to do your GCSEs at night while you're doing your A-levels. I was like, fair enough, I've done them already. I'll do them and do whatever you need me to do at night. So I did English and maths because they were like, you just need to do that to get into university. Anyway, by the time I applied to university, they're like, Duray, we'd love to have you. And you're £18,000 a year up front because you're an international student. So I didn't even go to uni for time anyway. But anyway, I wanted to do physiotherapy. And they were like, no, because you haven't got a biology GCSE. And look how like those moments, Kevin, you said that online course. And Leo is like that one moment with your uncle being like, oh, do you know Google Analytics? And you're like, ah. And just like that, like those moments are what led you guys as you are today. And I wonder for those people that are considering going to university, for those 17, 18-year-olds now that are on the precipice, do they go and get a job? Do they get an internship? What would you guys say to them? And what's your advice for those that are looking to get into digital marketing but don't know if they should get a marketing degree first?
I like this conversation, Jure. Like the education system and what young people should do. It's a tough one. I mean, I went to university. I'm not going to discredit universities or anything like that. But it maybe if and of course when you are 18, whatever, unless you know what you're doing, which is going to be the much lesser percentage of people generally know what they want to do by that age. I would say, I would almost not go to university personally. My personal opinion is that perhaps, me studying a degree, I mean, I benefited from the social elements because, of course, you mature, that is for me the ROI, is the fact that you go to uni, no matter what you do, you develop massive amounts of social skills because, of course, you're surrounded with completely new people and et cetera, et cetera. You then are fully accountable to your own actions because, your parents ain't there, whatever, you've got to navigate the whole world yourself, right? But unless you know what you want to do and you're studying the thing that you need to do that, I don't know. Like I would say that I could have easily put myself in the position I am now without losing 3 years of my life and without having accrued a £60,000 debt, truthfully speaking. But it's easy for me to say that having gone through it. So, that's my opinion, and I don't want to discourage anybody, but honestly, you guys will probably see this. You don't need to go to uni to have a successful career in digital marketing. You absolutely
No,
don't.
definitely.
So, you know, if digital marketing is the place you want to go and you know you want to go there, then I don't know, maybe if I was in that position, I probably wouldn't go to uni. I'd start craft and start getting a job and experience and yeah, but only if you know that's what you want to do, which is very rare, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think I definitely kind of agree with you there, Leah. I do think also like uni was a good kind of like almost like this buffer period where you still kind of get to be a child essentially. It feels like when you graduate, you kind of graduate into like this like young adult where, you know, you're figuring things out. And I think uni prepares you and puts things in motion for that to be able to happen. And I think for me, I would have been quite intimidated at 18 to go straight into a workplace, for example. I think because then there's like finding yourself within that workplace and maybe like what life stage you feel like you're at. Maybe that's just because it's what we've learned, like in like what society does, like that's what people then traditionally do. But for me as well, I think one of the really useful things for me with uni was actually contacts, like very much like from social skills and stuff, but actually from contacts. Like I even now see like from people, you know, that I know from uni that I have on LinkedIn, for example, I would see what disciplines they would go into or what jobs they would have or like the companies they were going to. And that for me was really, really helpful in terms of determining like what I found interesting, because I also did the thing that with like that Kevin did with uni, where I went for quite a broad subject. I did Spanish and management. Spanish was very much kind of, I guess, like the passion side, but I had no idea what I wanted to do with it. But management was one of those disciplines where I could study a little bit of everything to find out what I did like, what I don't like. Fortunately, I discovered that I didn't like accounting a lot earlier than Kevin did, it seems. That I just discounted quite quickly. But ironically, I discounted marketing from uni because I hated my lecturer. Like, he was like this like pompous, like all of the bad stereotypes people have of marketers, this guy was. And so I just kind of was like, I don't want to join that world. It just seems so like scammy. Like that's kind of the impression that I got from it. And so I kind of came into the job market being like, I don't know, I don't want to go into marketing. I don't think it's that interesting. Although I will also say a lot of it was traditional marketing rather than kind of this digital world as well. So yeah, there's definitely some strong pros and cons, but I don't think I would be where I am today without uni. And I think it was still as much as like maybe the subject themselves, I think the skills that I learned, I think what I learned about myself as well, it gave me a really good opportunity to learn a lot about myself as an individual, I think was really helpful in that sense.
That's really fascinating. I just wanted, before Dere, I know Dere wants to say something.
Yeah.
Real quick on the point with the listen, I've done a couple of lectures at Nottingham Trent University. Skill set with the marketing versus digital marketing and the old versus the new. My gosh, is there a gap? Like,
it's huge.
Like, let me say, yeah.
I mean, some of the fundamentals remain, right? But
right. You can say that about like everything in life.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess they're called fundamentals for a reason, right?
but yeah, it is. But hey, it's got to be hard for the institutions, for the for the education institute, because like, I mean, think about in 3 years, which is the typical length, or 4 years, the length of a degree or course, or whatever. Like, social media changes about 15 times. You know, there's about 15 new platforms like YouTube and TikTok. It's crazy. Like, how would you possibly? So I guess principles is something you have to teach, right? But like in terms of practical elements, it's so difficult for them. Naturally.
Definitely. Dere, I know you're dying to jump into what was being said before. Essentially, what he said is what I'm getting the impression of.
Well, I don't know if I agree. I get it, right? I get it. Like, it's quite challenging to keep up with this digital marketing is constantly evolving, changing. TikTok wasn't even around when the textbook was written. Damn, SEO has like half a paragraph on SEO. And hold on, but let's understand what are the 4 Ps of marketing, everyone. It's like, come on, lads. Like, as you said, you paid 60,000 for this, right? For this degree, 3 years at a fairly minimum entry-level job, maybe it's 20K. So that's another 60. Is a nice experience in finding yourself, and the contacts we have worth £120,000. Oh, I struggle to justify that by learning the 4 Ps of marketing, right? I would struggle to justify that. I think there's some fantastic organizations now that are challenging the further education sector. Multiverse, I don't know if anyone's heard about them. I think they've been shouted out before on this podcast. You guys definitely need to get me that bulldog so you can get a sponsor on this, because this is way too much free advertising. Yes, I just don't know if the return on investment's there. And you're absolutely right. The marketing is such a changing and evolving field that I think it's really challenging for them to put together content. But it's amazing to hear that they're bringing in people like yourself in to throw that challenge and get them to realize that what they're studying now is very different. I think you're right, Noemi, though. I think there are some like soft skills that you learn from it. From university, it does force you to grow up. But if the government was to say, listen, Dure, you can either go to university and you can pay us whatever back, and that's option 1. Option 2 is here's a £20,000 loan to go and start something to try, which is a third of what I'm going to have to pay if I go for option 1 anyway. But you still have the same terms and everything else. I would bite your hand off at that second option, because I think that, especially starting an agency, I think it's probably the closest you're going to get to a practical MBA, because you're doing so many aspects. You're balancing the books, you're doing the marketing, unless you've got someone amazing like Noemi who can come in and smash it for you. You're doing business development, you're executing for the clients and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. I think I'm anti-uni now. Maybe it's just because I'm seeing on my payslip every time like those deductions for student loan, which are pissing me off. But other than that, I just wanted to hear that out. Sorry, Kevin, I know you had something to say as well.
Oh no, I just wanted to add to what everyone is saying. To be honest, university is a platform. It's not. The education system is broken, right? You don't go to university to land a job anymore. It's to, like you're saying, to find yourself, to grow up, to just be, a softer landing. That period of finishing A levels to then growing up. It gives you that little break, that little in between where you can have the comforts of still waking up late. You can still go out with your mates, you can have fun, and all that good stuff. So if people want to do that, definitely still go to university. But if you want to quickly start a career, or if you want to start earning serious money as soon as possible, then university isn't the best option, in my opinion. But I think it's still got a place for certain disciplines, especially like Leo. If you carried on with that, physics background, I think you would have landed a really good job in that sector, because it's so specific, it's so niche.
Yeah.
But for probably most of the students who study something like law, how many people who study law actually become lawyers or solicitors or barristers? Probably a small percentage. So that big chunk of people who don't actually do the thing that they study, you have to find value elsewhere in university. It's not going to land you the job. It's all the other things. Even when you go to job interviews, they ask you, okay, it's nice you got a degree, but what else did you do? What are your interests? What do you do in your spare time? They're more interested in that. Who are you as a person? What's quirky about you? Are you into collecting things, or I don't know, whatever it is that you do in your spare time? What's your passion? I think that's more important than going to university.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure. I guess that's a way as well to distinguish between people too, because we are now, I guess, in a situation where, although I have no statistics, I don't know how correct this is, but the majority of people, at least from the UK, are coming out with some form of a university degree. So like, how do you differentiate between that? And I know, like, for example, in European countries, like I know, for example, like France and Spain, a lot of the time, everyone is kind of going to uni and then they're doing masters and like come out of uni with like 2 masters. It's a lot cheaper. It is significantly cheaper, so people can afford to do that. So people are only really hitting the job market around 25, which I think is quite interesting, whether that really makes a difference and whether that's potentially a direction that the UK would be going in, but then at the same time, it's so expensive that that doesn't become an option as much.
Yeah, I think people should just go and like take a year out, not to find yourself in Bali, but like to try like 4 different things. Like somehow just try and get yourself engrossed into internships, work for free. Let's say you work for free for a year, right? And you say, listen, I want to work at 3 different places or 4 different places. I want to try so many different things. At least then you know when you're deciding to go to university and I'm going to spend £60,000 to, as you say, Kevin, learn some things, enhance my network. But at least then I'll be able to be like, okay, cool. I'm certain that I really hate accounting. And I've saved myself a lot of headache by not studying to be an accountant. And then still having that debt, but not being able to do anything with it as well. So like, I just wish there was something that the education system, I agree, is a bit broken. The narrowing down and forcing people to choose so early down, limiting their decisions, asking them to specialize for so long, does limit the options. And hopefully there's something else that can be done about that. But I want to take this conversation. Go on.
Sorry, Dre, I just wanted to add on to that though. I do think the for free is complicated though, because that speaks to privilege. Like that's to people that can afford to work for free, and a lot of people can't. And actually I know some people, like sometimes they go to uni because you can get the loan. Like that is like, it's genuinely a way of like being able to know that you've got some money coming in. I mean, obviously you know that you're going to have to pay it back eventually, but it almost kind of gives you more freedom. So for example, if you then want to do a placement during uni, and sometimes that is one of the really important things with uni, when you can do a placement year, and the uni is the place that has the contacts and gives you that visibility and ability to go into these workplaces. That is something, because I mean, yeah, not everyone can really afford to do that. Like, I think it's also like I've seen a conversation that comes around like passion, of like following your passion, like that always comes from a privilege of having choice, of not being like, my hand is being really forced right now, like I just need to get a job, like I just need to get income. And then, you know, then you're really lucky if your hand is forced and then you end up actually doing something that you really like. But yeah, unfortunately, not everyone is able to do that either.
Yeah, I agree. Privilege is something that shouldn't be discounted. If you have the privilege to try things and not have the responsibilities of paying for bills and, you know, having to contribute towards your household, if you had that, lack of responsibility, and then you could just try some things, that'll be fantastic. If everyone's given that, like you're saying, Dure, that 20 grand loan from the government, try some things, and then hopefully you can contribute to society better afterwards. You know, that's I guess a much better way of looking at that. But not everyone has that privilege. You know, everyone has thank a mom and dad and say, go off and find yourself. And yeah, I think that's a really important point you made there, Noah.
I interrupted you there earlier, Dre. I felt like you were about to ask a question. Go for it.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Hey, I just wish there was something we could do, or something to help people expose themselves to so many different avenues, because you're absolutely right. Like I am speaking from a place of privilege there by saying, hey, just go try stuff. You don't have to get paid right now. And that could not be the case for everyone. But like, how many of your friends, and like, I know also like my parents' friends and like those kind of people in my cricket club that are in a career just like because they have to be, and they're now stuck. There's like nothing they can do now. They've got now like a mortgage, they've got kids to look after. Now they have no chance to change. At least when you're 18, like, okay, you're not expected to earn too much. You don't have too many responsibilities. So maybe you can allow yourself to be a little bit more creative, or a little bit more risky. Whereas when you've got big responsibilities, that's it, man. You got to feed your family. Never mind doing something that makes you smile on a Monday morning. Nah, eating food makes me smile. But I think that's cool. It's nice to hear about your thoughts on uni and your education. There is one thing about Growthack that always surprises me. I see you guys everywhere. You guys do a fantastic job in terms of visibility. I know that you guys deliver good results for your clients, and Growthack is really getting there, and it's really awesome to see the success that you guys have seen. One thing I don't understand is how many sets of virtual assistants do you have? How big are you really? You say you're a 2-person agency. I think you're a 200. How do you balance it all? You guys manage to get your faces out there a fair amount, keep up the work for your clients. It's hard. I know you guys have spoken a little bit about your specialisms and things like that, but as we know, running a business is a lot more than that. How do you guys decide who manages what?
So I'm gonna let you know a secret here, Dre. Studying physics, I actually now possess a time machine. So you know, we freeze time to do the work.
I knew it. I knew it. Are you guys licensing that, or what's the deal?
I would be here talking about digital marketing if that's genuinely what was the case. No, it's a listen. Kevin and I actually spoke about this before today and said, you know, how do we sort of just talk about this, because it's a real good point, because there's so many people, I guess, so many business owners, entrepreneurial people are very much in it for the challenge and the merit that comes along with growing a business in the form of headcount and financials, right? That is one metric for success. Of course it is. And hats off to anybody who has the tenacity and the will to do that. That's brilliant. But I think Kevin and I have a different spin on it. You know, our metric of success is how, you know, how much is this enriching our lifestyle and our life generally? You know, we don't want, I mean, admittedly, there are a lot of, you know, some days, some weeks, some months are endless in you know, when we get busy, because we don't have any employees or X, Y, and Z. We do have to deliver the workload ourselves, and we do put in the hours. But that's not the aim of the game here. The aim of the game for me and Kevin as a business model, as entrepreneurs that we are, is just to work with a very select group of clients. Think of, you know, like boutique, like high-end fashion, right? We just want to do a bit of, you know, we want to work with 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 clients max and do some insane work. And then when 1 drops or 2 drops out because we've finished our project with them, they get replaced very quick. And then that way it affords us a nice life, you know, without the headache of managing 500 people, right? That, you know, I do not want to be in business for that. I really, really don't. So I think, you know, that's kind of the thing, is that we're doing it for the love of the career, the love of what we do, not for the end goal of having 200 people, for instance, and not to like sell the business, for instance. It's just a lifestyle. We're just doing it to enrich our lives.
Yeah, I think our primary aim for setting up was we enjoyed working with each other. So our success metric was, let's build something where we can work together on a permanent basis. And that was the dream. You know, when we were working part-time on it while we had a full-time careers, that was the dream. So we've kind of achieved that goal, and we're able to work together on a consistent basis. Not all the time, you know, sometimes Leo has his own clients that are just paid media only, and also I have the case where it's just SEO only. And it is difficult because, as you know, running a business is a lot of things, and you got to deliver the work, and you also have to run the business side of things. You got to get insurance, you got to do your legal stuff, contracts, you know, new business opportunities, having conversations with people, networking, admin, accounts, and all the rest of it. You know, we try and outsource as much as we can. You know, we've got an accounting firm that handles a lot of the, you know, bits that we don't understand when it comes to accounting. And then, you know, in terms of insurance and all that stuff, you know, we've got providers in place. But a lot of it, I mean, it's just us to do, you know, we do that side of things as well. We should probably do better at outsourcing some of that activity. We try to recruit and get a junior member of the team. But for whatever reasons, you know, I think recruiting somebody straight out of university is always a bit risky. And we understood those risks. So we had it as a graduate program. But in an ideal scenario, you know, we would love to have a junior member of that team take up a lot of this responsibility that takes away from what we do best. So in an ideal scenario, we would have a junior member who would support us with a lot of that activity, but we don't have that at the moment. But like Leo was saying, you know, we are here not to have loads and loads of clients. 10 really good clients and, you know, happy days, you know, that is fulfilling for us. But 10 clients, like big clients, you know, let's not get it twisted, you know, let's not get confused, you know. Money, revenue, of course, is important for anybody, and quality of life. So 10 really good paying clients, I think I'll take that over 50 clients who are causing stress and may not be paying you that much. So yeah, that's our success metric, I think.
That's awesome. I really think that's brilliant, and it's good to see that you guys, like, especially what you said there, Leo, with like how is it actually serving my life? Because I think so many times people like look at business and they're like, oh, how's that business going along? And you're like, well, we've just hired someone else. They're like, oh wow, then you must be doing well. But it's like, oh yeah, but I'm still having to work 17 hours a day because I don't know how to, like, they don't know what they need to get better, so I have to train them loads and then do my job as well. We've experienced that as well, like where we, like, personally for myself, for example, I'm a bit of a lone wolf. I'm the front of house of VG to an extent. Noemi's like the true front of house, because actually when people see the branding and a lot of these podcasts, and if you're listening, things like that, but like when they deal with us first and foremost, I'll probably be the first face that they see. And then we've got like the excellent client delivery team behind that. But I agree with you guys. I think we're in a fairly similar metric. We'd much rather have whatever 5 clients paying £10,000 a month rather than 1,000 clients paying 50 quid a month. I think you absolutely, like, it'd be interesting though, like if there was a way that I could create both of those and have like a passive income source getting me like, I don't know, maybe like Duray's writing a book sometime soon, you know, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know how Noemi feels about letting me borrow someone from marketing to do ghostwriting for an entire book. I think I'm going to get laughed out the door. And she is in London as well, just around the corner. So I'm probably not going to take that one on. I don't think that's going to be good. But I mean, how have you guys found it now? Like if you're 2.5 years in, where are you up to at the moment? What is like the big goals for you in 2023, and maybe what can you tell us a little bit more about what you're expecting in the next few years?
Yeah, should I take this one, or Leo, you wanna go ahead?
Go for it, my friend.
For me, obviously Leo could add his comments to this, but I think for me, what we have discovered is we've transitioned from working with certain clients to the clients that we want to work with now. You know, before, when we first started, you know, we'd work with anybody. You know, our criteria of who we wanted to work with was really broad. We'll just take on anybody. Please work with us. You know, we were out there in the market and just wanted to get our name out there and get confidence from the market. Say, okay, these people can deliver good work. I think we've kind of built that foundation, and now we are working with clients that, if we were at a big agency, we would love to work with these clients as well. So we are now working with certain clients that we would enjoy working with 10 times over, and it's about finding more of those opportunities. You know, we've got a couple through the door, and it would be great to have a few more of those kind of clients where they love working with us, they appreciate us, they value the work that we do. And it's not stressful. You know, it's a very mutually beneficial relationship. They get the expertise that's missing in the organization, and we get the luxury of working with this amazing brand who appreciates us and do really good work with them. And we've got all the support that we need. You know, they've got all the budget for what we want to do. Let's do this exciting campaign. You know, they can get it sorted for us. You know, we want to work with these kind of companies whereas before, you know, working with smaller brands, we love working with smaller brands, by the way, and we we appreciate working with smaller brands. You want to do a certain campaign and they just can't do it because there's no budget. You know, they're stressing about, you know, money. It's their money. A lot of the times it's their personal finance that's going into that business. So every decision has to be scrutinized and double checked and so on and so forth. And that comes with its own stress. Whereas a much larger organization, the marketing manager you're dealing with, that's not really their money, you know. So you can get a bit more creative. So just those kind of nice, good working environments. I think that's what we're striving for. You know, the quality of work that we're delivering is a lot better because we are dealing with a client that has the capabilities to deliver that good work. I think that's what we're aiming for, I think.
For sure. Leo, do you want to add to that?
No, I mean you've hit it literally on the head there, Kevin. Yeah, like Jure, you asked, where is it going in, let's say, a year or two's time? I mean, we don't anticipate, specifically with the economic climate, right? We don't imagine that we're going to go on some crazy journey in the next year or two. We're, like Kevin said, if we can get just a couple, maybe even just one more, let's try and be greedy and go for two more, right? Blue chip organizations, then that gives us the peace of mind that we're going to be here and we're going to be thriving and doing some great work for, like Kevin said, for businesses that appreciate it, where, let's be real, like they look after us from a financial perspective. The relationships just works effortlessly. For them, for instance, we are so cheap, right? But they are still getting an exceptional service that they would do if they bought our specialist services from a full service agency, right? Because that's our whole business model, our whole idea is to provide that at a lesser rate and higher efficiency. Because, for instance, we don't have account management, we don't have project management layers within our business. Quite frankly, as you're talking to us, we have the skills that are account management, project management within our own selves, and you get to speak with a guy that actually knows what he's doing. That's something else as well that I think our clients find exceptionally valuable, because where we came from, you had to speak to someone who spoke to someone who then raised a ticket, who then spoke to us, and then it fed back and it Chinese whispers, and then they ain't got a clue what's going on.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think it is really interesting to have those different metrics in terms of success and in terms of what you're doing, and to remember the reason why you have decided to go at it kind of separately from like, I guess, the traditional agency model too. We're kind of getting close to that hour mark, so I'm going to start with the closing. So if you guys aren't familiar yet with what we do on the podcast, I like to close with a game. A lot of the times in the past, it's been reinterpreted drinking games that are suitable for an audio format as well. But I thought we could just do a bit of a quick fire in terms of getting to know you guys a little bit better. I think the game is actually most appropriate for just Leo and Kevin to play, but Jure, if you want to get involved, feel free. We're playing most likely to. So I've got a few little statements, and then I guess I'll do like a 3, 2, 1 countdown, and you can both just say the name, whether it's yourself or the other person.
Okay.
So
wait, Jure, are you getting in on this? I mean, we don't know you very well.
Yeah, I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
Here we're testing the friendship.
Okay.
We're seeing.
Yeah. This is a growth hack, most likely too.
That's a dangerous game then.
Yeah.
It's what makes it fun.
We'll chuck in some random ones as well, just to really throw you off the boat.
Okay.
Right,
the first one. We're just getting straight into it. Who is most likely to forget to text back? I'm going to give you a little countdown. 3, 2, 1.
Leo.
Yeah.
Love that. Are you a bad texter, Leo?
good.
Well, yeah. It's one of those, again, like you said earlier, you're working all the time. You're on these platforms. You're chatting on LinkedIn. Unfortunately, you get into the routine of talking to clients on WhatsApp sometimes, and
you just want to switch off sometimes.
And also you're on loads of groups, social groups. It's just oh my gosh, there's so much noise. So if I get a text, my default is I'll just check it later. I'm not one of those has to jump on it and sort it out. You know what I mean?
For sure,
Leo,
for sure.
I've got a follow-up question for Leo. Leo, can you please tell me the exact number of unread messages on your WhatsApp at the moment?
He's going over to check.
6.
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
That's
all
pretty
right.
healthy.
All right.
I know Fabio currently has 40. So 40. Yeah. So just calling you out there, Fabio. If you're listening to this, shots fired, fam.
Right, okay. Next one. Who is most likely to be the life of the party? 3, 2, 1.
Kevin.
Slight delay there. Kevin is ahead.
There was a delay, Kevin.
I mean, this is tricky because because I'm by default an introvert, you know. By default, I am very scared to talk to new people.
Not when you've had a drink though, Kevin.
when I'm in my groove, you know, yeah, I tend to. I mean, I like having a good time. You know, I'm from you know, I was born in Zimbabwe, and you know, we like to enjoy ourselves. Very different lifestyle. And then yeah. And sometimes, you know, you just want to have a good time.
I hear it. I love that. Nice.
Do you like do you have any like super cool party tricks that like are good for getting the crowd going, or like what's your, is it just the wine that gets you like I'm on it, or do you have any cool party tricks?
If I could say for Kevin here, man, I mean, Kevin's sense of humor when he's had a drink is just like, let me tell you.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go to the next one. Who is most likely to have the best snacks? Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Leo.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, what's in your snack cupboard, Leo?
Oh, I eat a lot of food. You know, I'm gonna say I'm gifted with like a fast metabolism or something. You know, right? I just eat so much food, so it's just constantly full of awesome stuff. The things that I like to eat, my partner, she's a fantastic baker, so she makes a lot of cakes, cupcakes, pound loaves, what, you know, all sorts of weird things. She always treats me, so that I enjoy eating her stuff. And then, you know, beyond that, you know, pancakes and twiglets.
That sounds like a good time. Yeah.
Olives and antipasti, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Great snacks. Yeah, nice. Okay, love that. Next one. Who is most likely to have a snappy comeback? 3, 2, 1.
Kevin.
I love how you guys both said that with a question mark.
Yeah, like snappy comeback. I mean, like, sorry, in like, as in what sense, Noemi?
I think in the kind of like jokester sense, like someone says something and you're able to like, you know, be witty about it, I guess.
All right. Okay. I don't. Yeah. My answer's still Kevin. I think.
Maybe that's right. Because yeah, I mean, sometimes I can be snappy in terms of I can think on my feet sometimes.
Right. Yeah. Which is always a very useful trait to have. Okay. Who is most likely to have a side hustle? Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Kevin. Leo. Oh, yeah.
We're both entrepreneurial, you know.
Yeah.
We both are always looking out. We also, like I said, we're friends. We're constantly talking about stuff like, you know, like wanting to own another property and just things like that, right? Like,
yeah,
we're talking about stuff. So I think that's no surprise. We've sort of said ourselves or each other there.
Well, that's good, right? It's good to have that change. You guys were in agreement. This was obviously like too harmonious. We needed something. We needed something for the teasers. And I like the fact that Kevin said Leo and Leo said Kevin. I think that just showcases your admiration for one another, that you believe in each other, and you believe that you could probably even take on something else as well. So I think that's actually a really cool thing to disagree on, or to not align on.
Wow, that was deep, Jure. Meaningful. Okay, last one. It's a bit of a random one, but I found it quite funny. Who is most likely to walk off with your pen? Like, if you've borrowed, like, if someone's like borrowed a pen, who's most likely to just like forget about giving it back? 3, 2, 1.
Leo.
Yeah, I had to close my eyes for that one. I didn't want to look in the eyes.
Yeah, I'm just I'm a Taurus, right? So like, I'm a ramping bull in a china shop. Like, I don't care about these teeny weeny minor details. Like, you lend me a pen.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, I'm similar. I'm bad with lighters. Lighters are my favorite. I don't even smoke, but I'm like on the vaping game these days. But like, I will somehow come back from a night with 3 lighters. It just happens instinctively to me. I've got like some sort of magnet. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I'm bad as well.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much for indulging me in that game. That's always a fun one. Unfortunately, we have come up until that hour mark, which I'm desperately trying to limit us to for these episodes. Because, you know, the stats tell me that that's when I should be cutting things off. So yeah, thank you so much, both of you, for coming on. It's been a really good conversation that veered off a lot into education, which I didn't see coming, but I think was really, hopefully for people who are listening out there, really helpful, useful, gets other conversations going. And I think really important in terms of talking about as well, like I think the state of the industry too, and in the fact that it is like this fast-paced moving thing, and how do you get into it and keep up with it too. So thank you so much for that, and for letting us learn a little bit more about, you know, your dynamics and yourselves. In terms of for the listeners out there, make sure that you've subscribed to all of our socials. That's at Fire.Gen on Instagram, Fire.Generation on LinkedIn, on Twitter, YouTube, all of that good stuff. Do you guys have anything you would like to plug before we close?
I just want to say thank you for having us, Naomi, and I think this was quite fun, and you've done a smashing job. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, nothing to plug so much, but we really appreciate, you know, what you guys are doing, and we've admired, you know, what you guys are doing from afar. So yeah, just keep doing it. No selfish plugs today. Thanks a lot for having us today.
If not, refer back to the intros. That's where the plugging is at. Thank you as well, Dre, for being my extra guest as well, adding a little bit. At one point, you took over, and I love that because it was exactly the questions that I prepared. So
I know, but like without you preparing those questions, I'd be sitting here like sucking my thumb. So thank you, Naomi. Sorry for stealing the limelight. I was like, I quite like this interview role.
I saw you get comfortable. Yeah. I saw you get comfortable.
I was whipping through it, shifting from one question to another seamlessly.
It
Damn.
feels good,
I love
doesn't
it. Yeah. You make it look easy though. But yeah, no, thanks again for having us, Naomi. Thanks for setting it up. And thank you so much to both Kevin and Leo, the Growthack team. You guys are awesome, and look forward to seeing many more of your success in 23.